Okay, so let's start with the basic.
Okay.
Your name and like how you started. Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever you're ready.
Okay. So my name is Ruth. I'm 26, and this is me at Pointe Black. I started 2 months ago. Registered the company. I always had the name in mind, and today we had our first class, which went very well.
So what made you start Pointe Black then?
There's a few little bits of inspiration behind it, mainly because I've always been a dancer. So
Yeah.
I started doing ballet when I was about 2.5.
Okay.
And amongst other things, I stuck to it. But I was always the only person who looked like me in any class. So I was always the shortest.
Yeah.
I was always the most black. Even if there were like other people in my class who were black or mixed race, they were never really as pro-black as I was. I had the most Afro hair. I was curvy, stumpy, very over the top, and there just wasn't any space for me in that world.
Oh yeah, how long did you say you were in ballet for? Because I know you were talking about it before, and the type of treatment that you kind of got while you were doing ballet.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of different types of experiences in terms of treatment in the ballet world and the ballet industry. When I first started out, it was in a little school in Wimbledon when I was a toddler, 2.5, 3. I was the only black girl in my class. And then another mixed race girl came into the class, and I just remember us always being paired together, and that was it. I never had any other person who would be in my pair, and that came from the teachers. And then my mum moved me a bit closer to home. We grew up on a council estate in Wandsworth. And luckily there, a place called Gemini Dances, the teacher there, Andrea Ford, was lovely. And she always picked me to do extra things, but little things like hair. So I would come into a show with my hair cane rolled back into a bun, and she'd be like, oh, but that doesn't look the same as the other girls when they have their hair in their bun.
Yeah.
So she meant well, but just that lack of understanding, I never really fit. But I persevered. I also did some classes at the Royal Academy of Dance.
How was that?
It was very interesting, very interesting. Just in general, their style is a lot more, obviously, like technique, discipline, and rigid, which is fine. But really, we couldn't afford it. It was so expensive. I remember my mum not being able to afford the leotard or the skirts, so we sewed it and we made it ourselves.
Oh, wow.
And then I would like be made fun of for like having
Homemade.
a homemade uniform.
Yeah.
And secondhand character shoes. My hair was always like in an afro or in a bush up ponytail. And I've had examiners comment on my hair. I've had examiners comment on the curve in my spine when I'm dancing. And of course, when you're doing ballet, you're always wearing pink ballet tights and pink ballet shoes. And the idea of that is that it exaggerates the line from the head to the toe to make you look longer, so it looks like your leg is a lot more stretched.
Oh.
On a black person,
It does not have the same.
it doesn't have the same effect. So when I would do like the shows, I would have my black ballet shoes, and my dance teacher was very free with that. But when it came to exams, I always had pink ballet tights and pink ballet shoes, and they looked great with my brown skin reflecting off of the pink. And yeah, it just wasn't the same.
Because you mentioned the story about when you went to the exam and you basically rebelled.
Yes, I went into the exam. I didn't wear any ballet tights. This was already. I didn't wear any ballet tights, and I dyed my pink ballet shoes brown. And I walked into the building, and my dance teacher looked at me with such disdain, as if I had just done the biggest maljustice to her in the world. And I didn't change, and I went into the exam, and on technique, I think I got marked down like 10, 15 points less than everyone else in the class. And I didn't end up passing that exam. And after that, I left RED and I stayed at Gemini Dancers, and I did my exams with them.
Gosh, that's a lot. So what made you stop ballet? Because you stopped doing dance for a bit, and then you came back with Pointe Black.
So when I was 21, that's when I was first diagnosed with clinical depression. And I was going through...
Sorry, what does that mean, just in case people don't know?
It's a mental health disorder, it's a mood disorder, and without going too scientific into it, your normal day-to-day bodily responses stop working or don't work as well. So I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing anything. I didn't feel like I could do anything, and therefore my body didn't do anything. So I couldn't work, I couldn't go to uni, I couldn't do dance, I barely got out of bed, all I would do is cry. I got so skinny I was down to a size 4.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't want to live, essentially.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like there was anything to live for, so I just didn't live, really.
Yeah.
So I was going through that, and I just needed to take some time out for myself and try and heal. And it took a while.
Was it you that went for help, or was it your mum who was around you? And when did you recognize that you needed help?
I would say about 5 months in, my mum sort of really realized. I remember actually she came into my room and she said, "Okay, you're not my daughter anymore. I don't know who this person is. We've got to try and do something." So, you know, typical black Christian mum, she took me to church, took me to a few churches actually, had people pray over me and spiritual healing. My auntie took me to this nutritionist and tried to help me with like my diet and everything. And then when they saw that it was helping a little bit, and it was, but the emotional sides were still there, and some of the physiological sides were still there as well. I was having like aches and pains in my body, migraines constantly, always being sick.
Wow.
So yeah, people don't think that a mood disorder or something like depression, everyone just walks around and says, "Oh, I'm so depressed."
Yeah.
But it has that effect on your body, as well as your mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then just unfortunately, the typical Jamaican thing, I will say, is to just be like, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Just smile, you'll get through it, you know? Life is only going to get harder,
Yeah.
I got told. So if you can't handle it now, then what are you going to do?
I think that's like a typical response within the black community.
Exactly. And it's just not okay.
No.
It's just not okay.
So what did you do from there?
Luckily for me, I studied psychology at uni. So I was able to identify within myself what was happening. And it took a friend to say, okay, if you saw another person going through what you were going through, what would your advice be as a psychologist? And then I said, oh, I would tell them to go and see a doctor.
Yeah.
And my friend said, okay, go and see a doctor. And luckily for me, that's where I got my help. That's where I got my help. And then I went through therapy. I still go through therapy.
Okay.
I have my, she's a holistic therapist.
So with that question,
yes.
with that one there, have you been able to find like a black therapist? Because I know
No. And I'm not saying that there are not black therapists out there, there are very much black therapists out there, but they usually do something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is good for mild disorders. Yeah. But at the point where I was at, I was very severe. And again, because I studied psychology, I knew that wasn't what I needed. Yeah. So my therapist is Spanish. Okay. And even though, thank God, I'm a lot better, I'm leaps and bounds, but I know that certain conversations that I have about my family and about my culture, she didn't quite understand, to the point where there was sometimes she had to go away, do some research, come back to our session about the things that we were talking about, which I completely appreciate. But at the same time, you know? Yeah. So it's that help we need within our community, which is why I did psychology in the first place. I just never thought I would live my own story. Yeah.
So with Pointe Black, when did you start working on the idea? When did it come to you? And how long did it take for you to kind of get everything together?
Okay. When did it come to me? I mean, I've always known that I was going to teach dance. Kind of just out of confidence and not really being pushed to be a performer. I was always told to get an academic degree first, and then I can do all of the creative wishy-washy stuff later, which again is another typical black culture thing for our parents to say. So I put all of my dreams to the side. I was going to go to the Brit school and everything. I put all of that to the side, and I did A-levels, and I went to uni. Just got caught up with everything else. And the idea of Pointe Black I've had for years. I can't define the exact time. Yeah. But I always knew that black was going to be in the name. And I always had the line, a point in the right direction. And then from there I took the point and put the E on the end, which is the technique of going all the way up on your toes. That's called point work. And there came Pointe Black.
So, and is it just you at the moment? Do you plan on having anyone else?
Just me. Just me. I mean, in a few years' time, I would love for it to be a huge company. Yeah. Where I have different teachers for different age groups and everything like that. But at the moment, it's me, and I'm happy with it being me. Everything is in my head, and I know I can do everything physically.
So what's the course about? Who's it for? Like, what do you learn?
Okay, so at the moment we have our adult classes every Tuesday, and Pointe Black in general is the foundations of ballet as a technique, or the techniques of ballet, and it's fused with black culture. So anything from hip hop to R&B to salsa. Yes, salsa is black culture. To dancehall, to whacking, all of those things that I love to do, and I've always wanted to incorporate within my dancing and my ballet training. So that is the style of dance. So when you come to a class, as an adult, you do work at the bar first, and we work through the feet and the techniques, and that's where all of the technical sides come in. And at the same time as working through the feet, we work on the posture as well. And then we move from the bar, we go into the centre, where we practice our turns and our kicks, little footwork, and then we do a piece. That's the adult classes. My plan is that over Easter, we start with the classes with the young people as well. So we can incorporate them into the brand. And again, similar thing where they're learning the foundations of a discipline first, and then they add their own flair and their art on top of it.
Okay.
There's absolutely no reason why you can't have your own style within ballet.
Yeah.
And any type of dancing that you do, maybe with the exception of break dancing, there's ballet at the center. So even when you go and see a street dancer, they're still doing pirouettes, they're still doing kicks, they're still doing splits in the air. All of that is ballet. So ballet is the center of almost everything.
That's interesting. Cool. And where can people find you on the socials and all the goodies like that?
Okay, so you can find us on socials. It's at point with the E on the end, _black. And you can send us an email at info@pointeblack.co.uk. Our website is coming in a couple of months, so you can see that very, very soon. At the minute, I've just created our booking website. I did that by myself. At bit.ly/pointeblack.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Okay, so we're back because you wanted to mention another thing that you had on your mind.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that I grew up in a council estate in South London.
Yeah.
And I have two older brothers. They are 12 and 14 years older than me, so the age gap is quite big, and I'm the youngest and I'm the only girl. So there was a lot of pressure on me to do really, really well in anything that I did. And the reason why I stuck at ballet is because it kept me away from that South London lifestyle.
Yeah.
It kept me doing something productive, as well as me being able to express myself. So it really was just a space I knew when I walked into the studio. There were no more pressures on me anymore to hold up everybody, or to fulfill all of the dreams that everybody hadn't.
Yeah.
And it was a space for me to be safe. And if I wasn't doing ballet every single week, I have no idea where I would be on the streets doing God knows what. So yeah, it really was just my safe space to be myself, and to express myself.
Are you also involved in like carnival, or no, not your scene? It's just ballet strictly.
Not ballet strictly. So I'm also a musician. Also a musician. I play the piano. I used to play the viola. I sing. I also act, or used to act. I don't really act anymore.
Okay.
But performing arts in general was always my thing. I don't do carnival in the sense of me going on the floats and stuff.
Yeah.
I always get invited by my friends to go.
Yeah.
But I just don't do any of that. Again, just a confidence thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, within ballet, I've been fortunate enough to dance in some of the biggest places.
That's amazing. You missed that out, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. So I've had the opportunity to be in a couple of shows and places like Sadler's Wells and Her Majesty's Theatre and the Royal Albert Hall, and other things, even younger, like pantomimes and things like that. So and some things I've performed in them, and other things I've managed to choreograph things to be in those things.
Oh my gosh, so you're pretty good then.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't have the confidence in yourself to actually step away and do it, because you're already doing it.
Yeah, but I just always had it in my head that I would never be in the spotlight, and I would just teach other people.
Is that exposure? Like you're now the lead and there's nothing else to kind of cover that up. The focus is on you.
Yeah, that is definitely new. I still feel like teaching is where I'm good at. But now it's more so allowing the next generation, or just allowing anybody to know that option is there.
Yeah.
I was never pushed in that direction. But if that helps someone else for me to push them in that direction, then that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got everything covered now.
Yes, everything covered now. I'm happy with that.
So when are we going to hear you sing?
You'll have to watch out for that. I'm actually just trying to get my mum and I are going to do like a couple of videos.
What, YouTube or on your personal page?
For now, on my personal page.
Okay.
And my mum is building up like her singing Instagram page.
Oh, so you're kind of performers in your family?
Yeah, we're all music.
Oh wow.
We're all music. So my mum sings. Back in the day, I don't know if you remember Stars in Their Eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on that. She won that.
Oh wow.
Year, back in like '96 or something. My brothers are producers. My eldest brother also sings. My auntie also sings. My uncles used to be in a band. Like it's.
Oh wow, it's a proper family.
Yeah, all the way through. So I couldn't escape it really.
Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you. It's an honour. Thank you.